wonderful evening. Happy morning and a wonderful evening, Masters. Welcome to today's meditation session. So, Masters, it's been a great opportunity for me where I could speak my essence when I was reading this book, Immortal Talks, and we went in depth with each chapter. So, I just want to summarize on how I felt while reading each chapter and what is the understanding that we can get while reading through all these different chapters. So to start with, this book has been an amazing thing that has happened in my life, because sometimes when you try to, it's very imperative that we pick up such kind of books, spend some time with that book, travel with that book, because every time when we read the book, we go through the same chapter, but somehow we understand it in a different way. So every time you go through such kind of books, somewhere your consciousness is elevated, because as it's said in the book that ignorance is weakness and knowledge is power. So it's very important that we have to have knowledge. The practicality part comes later when we start inculcating right knowledge. So that's what has happened with me when I was reading this book. So to start with, just to summarize, it was somewhere, down somewhere in some place. It was asked, where there was this pupil, a student who has asked his guru or his master that what is the purpose of life? To understand my own existence, what is this whole life and what is this purpose of life? So the master said, it's a beautiful thing that he said, that the purpose of life is to live. And this answer might look very cliche, but it is a very simple and profound truth, because we are living our life more like a blind horse that is running in a race. The horse might be running, the life is going on, but it has no idea where it is going or what is its purpose. And similarly, we are living our everyday life just like running in a closed maze, no idea where we are going. Things are happening, people are coming, we are achieving things or whatever it is, life is happening. But we have no idea why certain kind of situations are coming in our life. Why are we facing certain situations, whether it's any ailment or any kind of narrow road kinds, where our everyday life becomes so narrow, we get congested. The situation is creating a lot of turmoil in our life. Why is it happening? What is the reason behind it, and how should we get through those situations, and how should we be aware that we don't face those situations again? So this is something which we need to be completely aware of. So suppose if we are in a school or a college or an office, we all have to follow certain sets of rules and regulations. We need to be disciplined and properly, follow those rules and regulations to excel in those places, other than the education part that we do it. If we don't do it, we eventually will fail and will be demoted or will be removed from that post. Similarly, if we don't know and understand about the rules and regulations of the world that we are living in, we'll be facing a wrath of it. So it's imperative that we know about the world that we are living in. We need to know the laws of the universe, not by the society laws, because each country has its own laws. But putting that aside, we need to know the laws of the universe, not what the science says or a politics says or something like that, because even the science has not decoded even 1% of the reality that we are living in. There's so much that the science has to learn for itself. But through the eyes of spirituality, we need to understand the laws of universe. The eyes of spirituality is the eyes of equality. So this book, Immortal Talks 1, has shed light on few of them. It talks about the laws of cause and effect. This is one of the universal law, which is law of karma and desire. And it talks about the idea of death. It talks about alternate timelines. It talks about emotional attachments, about these invisible forces that are around us that interfere with our thought processes, and how one needs to be aware of them to go in this path. So it's time for us to remove those, blinds and take responsibility and be aware of the path that we are traveling in. Because ignorance is always weakness. It makes the soul very weak. And knowledge is something that gives the power to the soul. So we might feel that we are wide awake and we are living this reality, but the truth is majority of the humans are asleep in their own ignorance. And our mind and body is completely under the control of this illusion that we are living in. And majority of us are living a life which is like a slave to this materialistic world. It's I have lived through that life where it is all about flashing the wealth, seeking approval and validation from the society, because I have completely forgotten about self-love. And our mind becomes so busy on making boxes and sorting out the things, labeling that this is right, this is wrong, I like this, I don't like this is ethical, this is unethical. And in that process, somewhere we completely lose our touch with our true self. So our mind is constantly, the mind, how does it works is that it constantly is in a chasing mode. It's constantly is craving for things. Either it will chase or crave for materialistic pleasures, or it will chase or crave for rest and peace, saying that, I am in the pursuit of spirituality or something like that. Our mind needs explanations, it needs labels, it needs titles, it needs proofs. So we need to understand that this mind in the physical body is very finite. It can operate through only the information that is available or that it has experienced. And it will operate through the limited knowledge that it has gained or it is available for it. But we need to see that to understand this unlimited or infinite universe that we are living in, we need to sometimes shut down our mind and connect to our higher self. So it is also very, very painful to even know the truth that, we are very rarely happy in our life. We need some materialistic comforts or achievements in the workplace, or achievements of or validations from the society with respect to our work, or with achievements that are happening to our kids. Only when these kind of things happen, we'll feel very happy, we feel very elated, we feel very proud of ourselves. If not, how many times in a day do you feel happy of not doing anything, just by drinking a glass of water? Do you feel happy about it? Or just by eating your lunch, do you feel happy and proud about it? And we can hardly, the most difficult truth in today's society is that we can hardly stay alone by ourselves. Because one thing is that we feel bored about ourselves. We can't bear our being alone with ourselves. We are never happy with ourselves because we don't know what to do with ourselves. We can't face the things that keep popping up in our mind. We have no idea of how to live all alone, because somewhere we are always attached to the external reality, to the people, to the things. We can't imagine a life without all of them, because it is very, very dreadful and very painful that a person can't live all alone by himself, can't enjoy his own company, because we are a prison of our emotional attachments to this external world, because we are no more connected to our higher self. If that connection is always there, then you don't need anything else in the world. You're just happy every day, every second in your life. So that's what I understood when I was trying to understand through this book, especially when we go through that first chapter, which is a conflict between two mothers who are trying to fight for that one baby, saying that we are the mother, I am the mother of that baby, and the other person, a lady, comes and says that I am the mother. So those two mothers, Sucheta and Vicheta, they fight for that one baby whose name is Chitta. So here, when we go through that first chapter, a conflict between those two mothers with respect to that child. Here, the child is named as Chitta in the book. So Chitta means, you call it as mind. And Sucheta means good and Vicheta means bad. So we need to understand that our mind always dwells between two extreme poles, like two emotions and two feelings, good and bad. It has to take one corner, and it keeps on bouncing on both the things with respect to different things in our life. So conflict and confusion is the nature of the human mind, and that can be only brought to rest or brought to a middle path by the spiritual journey. It can be solved only at the spiritual level. When I read that first chapter, both the mothers are right in their own perspective. Similarly, in our day-to-day life, there are three truths that exist. One is my truth, how I am perceiving the reality. The other is your truth, how you are perceiving it. But there is another truth, that is the spiritual truth with respect to the universe, through the understanding of this entire universe. You can say truth with respect to the higher self. So truth remains true from the point of the view or from the point of the person who is observing the thing. But it may be false from the other points of other person's point of view also. Just for an example, from one point of view, one can see the sunrise. And for the other person, in the opposite direction, it's a sunset. In the US, it's sunrise, and in India, it's sunset. They both are right. But the spiritual truth is there is no sunrise and no sunset. Sun is its own place only. It's the earth which is revolving around the sun, creating an illusion or a maya of sunrise and sunset. So always seek the ultimate truth from the spiritual level, which can be accessed or which can be attained when one is in tune with their hearts. So soul always have a free will. Soul operates only through free will. There's no person who's trying to control you, or no entity or energy form that is trying to control. And whatever is happening in your life, in fact, before coming is completely because of your free will. Because the truth is that before coming into this life, we have read from various books and sources that, we choose this current life, our parents, our looks, the way that we are look, male, female, our health conditions, the people around us, the society that we are born into, everything is happening in a rhythmic way and following the rules and regulations of the universe. The karmic rules and everything. So knowing the spiritual truth is very important. And that is what is told in this first chapter, that I understood that there is no, everyone is right in their own perspective, but to understand the ultimate truth, try to be aligned to your higher self. So that will always put you in an truth that is the ultimate, that is the right one. So in the second chapter, it talks about the story of mermaid. So here mermaids are nothing but half fish and which carry a half fish and a half human body. So mermaids here are mentioned as a metaphor to the souls which are trapped in this illusion. So half human, which want to come out of the sea and become a free soul. And there is a half fish, which wants to stay deeper in the sea and enjoy that temporary illusionary Maya world or whatever it is. So any soul that you are attached to emotionally is a mermaid for you. That's what is told in this chapter. Because what happens is that it keeps on pulling you into that pond of its bad karma. In the context, here when he's telling that, when you're attached to a person, you are emotionally attached to a person, you are in fact taking up the bad karma of that person, is more like you are emotionally entangled with that person. And you have to go through many, ultimate liberation or moksha is nothing but detaching yourself. So if you're attaching to things or especially people emotionally, you have to go through that process or the karmic cycle till you get detached to them. So in a way, they're pulling you into many more lifetimes to be taken till you learn the lesson of detachment from them. So make sure that you start from right now, understanding that you are just going through this whole play, but you are not owning that play. You are just acting as if an actor is going through. So we need to understand the rules of karma here, which is we all have emotions, but we are not the emotions. Don't identify yourself with those emotions. The moment we take any action emotionally, any action or any karma that is done by you emotionally, we get attached into the karmic cycle. So no matter how good our karmas are, if we are attached to other soul, that is the mermaid here, we are indirectly going into a karmic entanglement with them. And we have to go through that process for some more time. You never know how the next thing is going to be. So every emotion that you share with a person is a form of an attachment. And here in the second chapter, they talk about 9 emotions like joy, sadness, anger, fear, pity, disgust, expectation, surprise, and trust. Joy, anger, sadness, fear, pity, disgust, expectations, surprise, and trust. So these nine emotions are something which we all have to look into. So the first rule is to be free away from these emotions and stay detached. We we usually are attached to different people in our life with different emotions. We have anger towards certain kind of people. We express disgust to some situations. We have expectations in our relationships. So look, when you see that, how you are related to your people around you with respect to your family and your workplace also, it's very important that you don't get attached to those emotions. We can help other souls or we can understand other souls without getting emotionally attached. Even whether they be our parents, our kids, or any closed ones, emotions are to be expressed. They have to be expressed because this is how we give flow to our feelings. There should be a flow of energy that needs to be happening between two individuals, and that can be happening only through emotions. But the moment we try to identify that emotion with ourselves, with our entire existence, we fall into the trap of Maya. So not just emotions, just thinking about the other person who bothers you or whom you don't want to forgive. So knowingly or unknowingly, you are emotionally getting linked to that other person. So check which mermaids are pulling you down. So it's time for detachment and start your spiritual journey to free your soul. That's what this whole second chapter talks about. And awareness brings freedom. So if one is aware, completely aware of how his emotions are working, what are triggering them, and how he's living, is he getting attached to those emotions? Is he living that emotions for a longer period of time? Is he identifying himself with those emotions? Then that, what do you say, understanding will itself bring that awareness to start working on those things. So it's very important that awareness towards oneself, especially the emotions, how we are interacting in our everyday life is very important. And we need to channel it in a proper manner so that one can master their own destiny and be free away from this illusion that we are living in. So it's very important that we need to stay connected with everything, but don't get attached to those things, be it people, be it things, or anything. Do your duty, but don't get attached. So that something doesn't come over a period of time, we need to do practice. So the more that we practice them every day, the more easier it becomes day by day. So in the chapter 3, it talks about describing the undescribable. This was the most challenging chapter because this is a new knowledge that I was trying to understand when I was reading this chapter. I haven't come across this anywhere. So what I felt is that spirituality cannot be described or made available to a person who is not ready or his or time has not come. So you may see a person living in this illusion of Maya, in this illusion, in a complete ignorance, but you cannot make him or her understand the whole message or the truth of the spirituality in itself. So only the moment when Maya or the illusion attacks them, him or her, in terms of health ailment or any kind of financial issues or relationship problems or any major thing that shocks their everyday living, only then the person starts to begin to question why such kind of things are happening in my life, why are those things are happening. So the question mark or the questioning part comes at that point of time, and then the person is ready to listen to something. Is going to follow or not, that is something else, but at least that idea that towards the spirituality begins. So that ignorant soul always forgets that it has come from nothingness, from that most powerful divine entity, to live in this reality, to experience this reality. It completely forgets. And we need to understand that to live and experience this three-dimensional reality that we are in, which is in the dimension of time, space, and matter, we have to take up a physical body and an emotional body. And experience this reality through them. But over a course of time, we forget about our true self and we'll start identifying ourselves with our body and with our mind. But the spiritual truth is the identity of the soul is not determined whether whether it is a girl or a boy or a man or a woman, or with respect to the physical structure, or by the caste or a religion or a place of birth or a social status it was born into, or the intellectual abilities or the emotions that it carry. A soul is not determined by any of these things. Here in this chapter, beautifully, it is said that the identity of the soul is with respect to its karma and its desire. These are the only two things that determines the soul's identity. That's it, period. So karma is nothing but the energy that one gains, one soul puts it into its bank, which is gained by living and experiencing a reality. What does it do when it is living and experiencing a reality? Accordingly, that energy, whatever it has gained, it is labeled and it is put into its bank. And the desire is the energy that is gained by thinking of something it wants to experience, imagining of something, and hoping for an experience to happen. It wants to live a particular experience, but it has not lived. So that part remains as a desire. So only these two bank balances will determine the soul's ultimate journey or ultimate identity of that soul. So anything, we need to understand that anything that becomes reality, that we are living in right now, whatever is happening in my life, in your life, or whatever, it has the strings of the past. In every scene, we need to understand that we have always two choices. One choice is live that scene, whatever is happening, surrender, live that scene, accept that scene, and move ahead. The second one is do not accept that scene and desire for something else to happen. So you'll start thinking, you'll imagining, you'll hoping, you'll be manifesting a scene to happen and you want to experience that. So you want to change the scene. It's good if you could do it, but if it's not happening, because majority of times we are never satisfied with our life. We want something else to happen in our life. But when we see that what is happening to us needs to happen in a way, because there are so many laws that are so many energy, so many laws, law of cause and effect, law of desire, law of what do you say? Different universal laws are playing there. We need to understand that we sometimes have to accept and surrender to certain situations rather than feeling stuck and, what do you say, not release that energy at that point of time. So anything which you suffer or feel stuck in a point of time in your life, that is happening to you right now, is because you have not accepted your past somewhere. If you see carefully, you will find that there are many blockages where you might be stuck in the past. So is it possible to relive the past? That is something here Hanumanji talks about, is that he goes back into the timeline, shifts the timeline and everything. But here we need to understand that in a high level, that here is more like talking about soul fragmentation, because our soul is nothing but energy, right? If you don't have body, if you don't have emotions and everything, and you look your soul away from these things, you will see that you are just a packet of pure, amazingly bright energy. So our soul is a very powerful source of energy, and in its truest form, in its original form. But fragmentation of the soul here means that the soul is broken into pieces if it has lived through any traumatic moment in the past that have been very painful. So a part of our soul energy is left in that timeline because it has not accepted, it has not forgiven, it has not released that energy and thought that this is not happening to me, but it is happening to that physical body and the emotional body. Because once it starts identifying itself with that, it becomes very hard to let go of it. So a part of that soul's energy is left there in that timeline. So it's imperative for us to tackle our everyday emotions. Take some time every day before in the evening, because by that time you have lived a majority of your day, not before you go to sleep, but just towards before you have your dinner or something. Take some time and look into your everyday emotions. Take some time to work on them. See that where you are feeling stuck or something. Take some help wherever it's needed, but you just move on from it, because knowingly, unknowingly, you yourself are hurting you yourself. So sometimes you just need to enter that scene where you feel stuck. You need to accept it completely and release the desire that you want to change that scene. Sometimes your things might not happen the way that they are supposed to happen, because there are so many things that are required in consideration. So the better is that you sometimes, if things are not happening the way they are supposed to happen, so release that energy that you feel that you are stuck in that scene. So this is how you impact your present, and that's how your future is also impacted because of your present. So um, this happens in this chapter. Hanumanji says that this happens only when you are in a state of shunya. When you're in a state of shunya, you'll be able to impact your present. You can change your past, and that's how your future is going to be amazing. So this state of shunya is nothing but a state where there is no identity. You can't identify yourself with respect to your body or your religion or whatever the categories that gives you an identity. There is no more identity. There is no mind. There are no memories. You are just nothing. There's nothing that can be used to describe you as in itself. So when you are in that state, shunya state, that is when this understanding or the change happens. Now, this shunya state is more like, I understand, it's like you mean by living in the moment, because it's as if, like, when we talk about this concept of living in the moment, we'll say that we should live in the moment, we should live in the moment. So what exactly do we mean by living in the moment? It's like not thinking about past, not worrying about the future, just living in the moment. But just to give an example to understand it better, if you had a really bad fight or an argument or a clash of beliefs with a person, and when you meet the same person the next day in the morning, immediately after a couple of hours, if you can behave with the person as if you're meeting him or her for the first time without any prejudices of the past, then that is said to be being in the moment. And it can be only done when you can let go of your memories or your memories of what has happened the before night, or your I-ness that has been hurt there. Somewhere your ego has got into a clash. Only when you can completely dissolve these two things, then only you can meet the person as if you're meeting that person for the first time, no matter what has happened the before night. That itself defines living in the moment. And that can happen when there is no identity, no mind, no memories. You are in a state of shunya, nothingness. So that is how your everyday living is not impacted by your previous scene. So that is what is taught in this chapter 3. And in the 4th chapter, he talks about the strings of time. So in the 4th chapter, it's taught that, the soul's journey is always steadily progressing, not jet rocketing, but steadily progressing through different levels or stages of consciousness. Now, the journey from unconsciousness to, it's more like a journey from being unconscious to being completely aware of your everyday living. It's more like the journey from darkness to light, or journey from ignorance to knowledge. So this chapter talks on how a single act of compassion takes your soul to a next level only. So usually the acts of service, the service that we talk about, the acts of service are done by an ordinary human being. They're usually done with a triggered thought or a calculated benefits that, if I give some money to a person who is begging or who is in need of it, then I'll get some subconscious thought will come that, I'm helping, he might help me next time, or I'm helping because I'll get some good karma. Or if I donate some money, I'll get good karma, I'll get name and fame in the society. If I do some service, I get a sense of satisfaction. So all these are the taglines that are attached to the service. The first thing that we need to inculcate in everyone's life is service should be a part of everyone's life. That is very imperative. And all kids, forget about the math, science, or everything, but all kids should be taught about the importance of service, and especially doing service not for gaining good karma or name and fame or a sense of satisfaction, but as an everyday act. Just like you brush your teeth or you have bath, service should be in similar terms. It should be that easy, that normal. Because service teaches a lot of things. It teaches patience, it teaches empathy, it teaches compassion, responsibility, discipline, courage. A lot of things are taught when one does service. So in a way, it is building your emotional resources. In a way, service is done for uplifting yourself, not the other person. So always service should be done in that way. And here, when service is done by Chandra, just, even though the monkeys were responsible for the, what do you say, life and death situation to her son, she didn't even think of anything else. She didn't calculate nothing. Just like an everyday process, she went and gave the food to the monkeys. So service should be at that level. And that service is equal to godlyhood service, because God does not determine difference between Ravana and Rama. Everyone is same to the Almighty or the higher energies. So when we attain such kind, we enact such kind of characters, somewhere we are also, what do you say, pushing our soul evolution that fast. And the 5th chapter, it talks about defeating death. And it is also a very intense chapter, because more or less it talks about the concept of who am I here. And death happens physically and mentally. That is what it was told here. Because when we stop identifying ourselves not with respect to the body and mind, so the death is happening only to the physical body and your emotional body. There is no death spiritually. That is, there is no death to your soul. We call it death here in this reality when our soul leaves our body. That's it. So because after that, our soul continues the journey further. It takes up another body, some new lessons, new experiences to go on to. So the journey will go on further till it and attains a state of moksha, or combine or goes into that nothingness. And what you do with your life in this lifetime will decide the further journey. Because since the soul's identity is by the karma and desire packets, what you do in this lifetime, how you have manufactured your karma or how you have put your desire packets, that will determine the further journey, in which timelines you are going to do and how you are going to continue in next life. And it's very important that how you use your present life to its fullest, because are you going to jump a couple of strings up towards the evolution, or are you going to jump down a couple of strings towards your soul evolution? So it all determines in this current lifetime, how do you use it. So in this chapter, it talks about the desire also. Here it talks that, the desire sprouts from the imagination, or the imagination that is triggered by the external world, how you perceive your external world with your sense organs, and how much control you have on your sense organs with respect to your mind, determines the type of desires that come out. So that's how the desire sprouts in our mind. So for that, we need to first understand our existence, what our existence is, that how do you exist, what is that dissected understanding of human in this reality, something we need to understand. I'll just share this picture. Yeah, hope you can see this. Yeah. So here we need to understand how do you exist in this reality. We need to see that the chariot, the wheels and the place the person is sitting, that is your body. And the body is a chariot which holds the senses and emotions. That is, it is holding the horses, which are your senses and your emotions. If these senses and emotions, if uncontrolled, if they are not controlled, they can pull your body, eventually your life, in different directions, just like a blind horse running in the race. If the chariot is driven by an intelligent driver who uses, you can see a person called as driver named there. If that driver is intelligent enough, and those reins or something that is tied with each horse, he's holding those reins in his hand. So everything depends on that person. If he's intelligent enough, then he'll constructively control the senses and emotions, and that's how your life is going really well. But if the mind is uncontrollable, if the intellect is completely gone, and it's only the sense organs that are running everywhere, because each horse is going in one direction, so imagine how the body will react. So here we also need to understand that the mind in itself is a very complex structure, because it is divided into two things, that is conscious mind and unconscious mind. Conscious mind is your everyday mind, where you are putting your awareness into. And it's not necessary that you are giving 100% awareness to everything that is happening in your life. No, there is only few things that we put awareness in a given time. So majority of our mind is under the control of unconscious mind. Now, how is this unconscious mind divided into? It is divided into two things. That is your ahankara and your chitta. So your ahankara is nothing but your ego self. And your chitta is nothing but it is consciously or subconsciously that has been created by the social conditions, by the personality that you develop, the memories that you have, the type of circumstances that you have faced into, the life experiences, all these things did put as accumulated in that mind. And behind all these things, there is a one person who's sitting with a question mark, and that is called Jivatma. That is a part of your higher self that is experiencing this reality, and which is a silent observer. It is just observing this, what's happening with respect to sense organs and how it is going. It's just observing. See, it has no control, nothing. It's just observing. It's a silent observer, and it is going through that experience. Now here, the 5 horses represent the sense organs. They are your eyes, your ears, your smell, your taste, your touch, and the respective emotions that they trigger when they come into this maya or this illusion. When they are reacting to this external reality, the so and so things will get triggered, and that's how the emotions are produced. In short, the senses and the emotions are involved in the field of activity, and so you know every day we are moving in this world of maya, and we are looking into different things, different situations are coming, and that's how you're reacting. Now, it's very, very imperative that the intellect part is something that plays an important role here. If you leave your senses and your body to external reality, then each horse will run in its own direction, and one day the body will collapse, and you'll just go with a physical ailment or something will happen, and you just leave this world. But how do you better use of this one God's gift or one amazing life that you have right now? How can you use it to its best possible way? Is that you have to develop your intellect. That is buddhi. It's not intellect, it's more like your intelligence part needs to be developed. Intelligence becomes sharpened when you are connecting it, that thing, to the highest, electrical amplifier, which is your higher self. When that connection really strengthens, then you know what to do. You will understand your purpose of life, and you know how to take care of these horses, where to pull back or where to leave them loose, or how to work on this road that you're traveling in your life journey. So this is how you have to look at yourself. You are not the body, you are not the mind, but you are a soul who is experiencing this through body and mind. And better use your intellect, because a human body's existence is provided with a thing called intellect. and tune that intellect to your higher self so that you enjoy this journey. So that is what you need to understand. Simply put, for an example, you will see that there is a cake in front of you and you just had a full meal, but your intellect knows that that cake will make me fat. I don't need to eat it at that time. But however, that image of the cake will trigger your memory, your subconscious mind, to remind how, it will trigger some memory of yours where it was very lovely, how you felt when you ate that cake, how it was on your tongue, and all those previous occasions, everything will come up. Now your tongue sensory nerves of your tongue are fully triggered. Now it will start craving to have a cake. The cravings loosen the reins of your mind by becoming so overpowering that you forget how you will struggle with the calories later on. If your intellect is weak and if you're not giving that right understanding to yourself that, if I eat the cake, I'll put more calories and, I'll become fat, or these are not good calories to me, and you let go of those reins of your mind, then your sense organs will nicely enjoy, it will be the horse will be running nicely towards it. Now the intellect, if it makes very feeble objections that the mind is already giving instructions to the hand to pick up the cake, it's almost going there. But if the intellect or the charioteer who is running the body and mind, if he's more under control, if he has complete stability that this is how it is going to be, then it won't let the reins go and it will hold them very tight. And that's how you have complete control on your body and your mind. And that person who's sitting there is very important, and that intellect in our brain needs to be very strong, and that needs to be connected with our higher self. The connection needs to be very, very strong to go through this illusionary or the maya that we are in. So that is what something which we need to understand, that is told in a way in this chapter, that this is how the human existence work, and this is how we need to look at ourselves. And in this chapter, there is also, in the chapter of 5th, defeating death, there is emphasis on the concept of who am I also. That's just like I have talked that, the soul here is the observer who is wore that cloth of body and mind to experience this reality. So we are not the body, we are not even the mind, we are a soul who is observing and experiencing this reality through body and mind. So, and here it talks also about Bhakti Yoga part, because this world that we are in is so tempting every day. We feel very anxious and a lot of things are bombarded onto us with respect to relationships, things, situations in our life. It becomes very difficult for us to put a pointed focus and work on our spiritual path. So here Hanumanji indirectly says that always stay detached, check your emotions every day with respect to this external reality, and try to work by bringing them or bringing all your focus onto one thing in your mind. That is, it might be the name of your deity or the vision of your deity, and meditate upon it. So try to bring your mind to that one point rather than just throwing it all over the place. That is one place where we can start with our spiritual journey. And the 6th chapter is Cursed Souls. It's a very interesting chapter. So here we need to know that humans are aware of about the concept of soul, only the concept, and few people are still yet to realize that we are soul. So this human birth is a journey of awakening. It's more like understanding that we are soul. So having knowledge about soul does not make one person awakened or one person moving away from the ignorance or make one person more awakened. But it is a starting point where the journey has started. That, okay, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm the soul. Okay, let me start from here. So that is the first step towards the spirituality that one can take, that first you are a soul, you're not the body, you're not the mind. So on this planet Earth, it's very important that we know the rules of the nature or the universe that we are in. In this chapter, it is told that we are surrounded by positive souls called as suras and negative souls called as asuras. Because soul which could not complete their journey These souls are indeed are in a need of a body, physical body, to express themselves. So when a human is not protected or connected to its source in a better way, we can say that if a person is not completely connected to its higher self, or not in complete understanding to one's own inner self, they are what do you say, they get attacked by the asuras and suras. In simple words, you mean that if you are awakened, that you have this knowledge of what this whole existence is all about, that you have this understanding towards the universal laws and everything, how things work around you, about your emotional attachments and all those things. You are awakened and you're safe, you know where to work. But if you're ignorant, you are used by this alien source because you are no more aware of your existence. You feel like everything is happening the way that you are thinking that it's happening. So you carry if you carry a frequency of excitement or misery, over excitement, or really into misery, then the cursed souls are surrounding you, and now they have found a body to enter and to express themselves or to feel those emotions. Now they can be positive like suras or negative like asuras. So both souls can use your body when your soul is ignorant, when you are not aware. So the moment your soul is aware, the outside soul or the outside energy is no more effective. We also need to understand suras and asuras with the concept of how people are throwing their emotions on you. Every day we are interacting with people, and knowingly or unknowingly you are having an energy exchange between them. Your friend calls up and she tells all about her misery with her mother-in-law and everything, and somewhere you are getting attached emotionally. Then you are entering into, you're actually taking that energy into you, and you're feeling very drained, and all the day, rest of the day is damaged. Not only for you, you will also affect your spouse's day is also damaged because you are not good, in a good mood. So you need to see things in this way also, not if you don't want to understand it with terms of suras and asuras. So cursed souls, here in this chapter, he says that they follow a different course. Suras usually they crave only for positive things in life, and asuras crave on negatives. So they keep wandering from one body to another body to enjoy their preferences. So here mainly we need to understand these emotions like fear, anger, sadness, disgust, shock, worry, apathy are some of the major negative flavors in our life. And joy, trust, hope, amazement, and sympathy are some of the major positive flavors in human life. So it's very important that we don't get attached or get carried away by either of them. We need to understand that this emotion is coming with respect to the body. You don't identify that emotion, because there's a flow of energy that is happening, but just enjoy it and just leave it, detach it, and just move on. So make your soul very powerful. So don't be in ignorance and give away your power to some unknown soul that wants to enjoy through you. So that awareness is very important. And there are some symptoms of an ignorant soul, that when a soul is ignorant, it experiences extreme mood swings. There is outburst of anger. You show intense anxiety, or you cry a lot. You're constantly afraid of people you care, because you feel that they're going to abandon or leave you. You have extreme reactions to all events, over extreme for everything. Such as if a loved one is arriving home late from a work, or being separated with a loved one for a vacation or something, you become very extremely uncomfortable, because you can't live on yourself. You have to depend on the other person, because you can't imagine living on your own self. And you have difficulty trusting others, and you often feel suspicious or paranoid about other people's motives. So a lot of insecurity, no belief, no sense of what do you say, understanding about your own self. You'll feel always empty. You are emotionally numb. You are isolated. You'll feel no sense of empathy towards others person's difficulty or anything. And you feel that you want to be very close with the other people, but at the same time you want to push them away. So there is an intense emotion there. your relationship with your families and friends are completely strained, and you have an intense, you have a history of unstable relationships. Um, you know, you don't have any clear idea of what you want in your life, and you keep on frequently changing jobs or friends or goals in your life. So you experience that dissociation with yourself and rest of the society. So these are some things that we need to work, that these are not our true self. Because in with our, when we are more what do you say, in tune with our higher self, we really are very confident, we are empathetic, we are compassionate, we love ourselves, no matter what the other person is there or not there or nothing. We know how to survive in this world because we are in touch with our higher self. So there is also a beautiful question that is asked towards the end in this chapter, that does your soul has infinite time here in the human world? Because we are talking about the concept of reincarnation. So can we do that process forever? So then the answer that was told is no. Just like your body don't has a very limited time, so has your soul. So how can we help ourselves from all these things? One is this emotions, these things, and how do we help ourselves to come out of all those things? So one thing, there are few things that were told here. One is always be aware, be completely aware of how you deal with everything in your life, and don't take everything for granted. Use your intellect properly, connect to your higher self, make that build up that connection every day, um, and look into things. So don't take everything to face value, and give benefit of doubt to the other person, and meditate more, pray, and build that connection, and take back that power of your own personal soul journey. Don't depend on anything, or don't give yourself to anything. So that's what something I felt through this, reading through this whole book, Immortal Talks. So yeah. Masters, if anyone has read the book or any sharing that you want to give with respect to what you have listened through this book, please do. I would really love to listen to your perspective also when you are listening to this book. Yeah. Hi, Lakshmi ma'am.
I sorry, it's too difficult to understand concept of suras and our own positive mind, because I've gone back to see these recordings.
Mm.
This has been the first. I usually don't go back to things because that's how I have always been. That books, when we read, I always felt that it is understood, and hardly I go back unless it's a very specific. But in these recordings, I have again gone back from right 1 till 8. I'm on 8 yesterday. And it's been these 2 days I've been, because I wanted to hear it continuously, to know the concept continuously. So it's a huge, you know, even today when you told very beautiful explanation, Ravli ma'am, very beautiful explanation. And living in that awareness and not getting attached is the biggest practice which I would take for myself. And emotions, we live with emotions. And the other part says that you need to express the emotions, yet we should not be attached to those emotions. To be fresh, to be fresh as once the, a flower which blooms for a day and then again it goes back to it. And again, next day you have a different flower to bloom, right? As that fresh, that mind being so fresh and aware. Thank you, Ravli ma'am. It's really, really, really putting in words was really hard for you. I don't know, but then to pick those concept and implementation. Probably I'll understand those by going through recordings again and again. Understanding is different, but yeah, implementation is one thing. But as you said, coming back to breath, every time there is hurdle, or if you feel there is something going wrong, or as per your wish, or as per your thought, intellect, whatever, you just come back to breath. Probably that's one of the easiest way I think I can execute, but there could be numerous way, as you mentioned. Yeah, it's practice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmi ma'am. Thank you for your sharing. Yeah, Blossom.
Thank you, Ravli ma'am, for such a beautiful session. These chapters are so heavy. I mean, we have to see recording again and again. My question is like you shared a diagram where you showed chariot and mind and everything. Can we go back to that one? You showed the horses and intelligence,
Yeah,
mind.
yeah.
So I have a scenario. I just want to try to understand.
Oh,
Suppose,
that's beautiful. Yeah.
so if a person A, he got so much of praise in office. Okay.
Mhm.
Person A is very happy. Or second scenario, maybe he got a surprise and the person is very, very happy. The emotions of happiness and joy or praise is there.
Mm.
Okay. So I want to understand if we see this diagram, right?
Mm.
So if somebody is praising you, that it means you're using your senses, which is your ears.
Mhm.
Because for ears, you got that praise, right?
Mhm.
But the things which made you very happy,
Mhm.
how that unconscious mind is playing the role there.
Mm. We need to understand that we are gaining information from our sense organs, okay, the words or anything. But you need to understand that we have developed an identity with ourselves. This unconscious mind is nothing but your identity, your social structure that you have been grown into. You might be have been taught in through your childhood that you have to do work to get praise, and you have to knowingly unknowingly we get used to that, right? Our parents feel very happy when we get first rank. We try to relate through that. Okay, this is how you will feel elevated. But how many times have our parents taken to a nice movie or something when we failed in an exam? So that's how you try to relate. It creates your own identity with respect to the external reality that you have been perceiving. That's how your unconscious mind has been built up over a period of time, and you are identifying this external reality with I-ness. Knowingly unknowingly you are feeling that this is something that you have achieved and you are responsible for it. No one has done this thing or anything. Your identity is respect to that physical body and emotions only. So I'm not saying that you not to be feel elevated or something. You have to enjoy that emotion, everything, but try to get away from it. Start new, that this is finished, now you have done your work. So they say that in this thing, see, it's very difficult to say that put it practically, but um just do your everyday process as if you're doing it for your eternal higher self, like while you're washing are you feeling the same happiness when you're washing your bathroom or you're cleaning your bathroom or something? No, the happiness comes only when you get a validation from the external society that you have done good or you have been praised or promoted in the office. So try to understand the concept of happiness. How is it coming from or where is it coming from? I think when you try to understand from that aspect, you will know how to work through it. I don't know whether anyone wants to give any understanding that, please do it. Yeah, sir. Ramakrishna, sir, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear, sir.
I
Now. Yeah.
struggle to unmute myself and it says no, the host is not allowing me to unmute. Then I thought, Ravali madam must be mad at me.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Just, I mean, As usual, madam, Ravli madam's voice is golden voice. Basically, it's excellently portrayed. And I think the message has been conveyed very clearly. But the two questions that come to my mind, madam, the Suras and Asuras, as I was, I heard somebody else talk about it and say that they were probably two of the clans who fought. And excellently, they are compared with the good and the bad quality in a human being. I think is an ideology that we are taking it from them. And are Asuras really bad? I don't know. Because we are attributing to what is bad in a human being? Is it something that he wants to do, but things turn out to be different from what he expects it to be? Or what is happiness, as someone else, I forget the name, was discussing about it? I mean, is it that you wanted something, so you got it, so you feel happy about it? Or is it like a child who knows nothing what the child wants? Said, let us see at the stage of about 4 months or even 6 months old child, she's happy just by looking at the mother's eyes. She's happy just by looking at the mother, that's all. Or anybody else who comes and says, hello, hi, that's what we do most of the time, and the baby smiles. So what is really happiness? Is that the happiness that is absolutely innocence, and any interaction gives happiness? Like, autobiography of a yogi suggests that, yeah, yogis are ever happy. They are never unhappy. But then, are we able to get to that stage? Maybe we need to try on it. Is it not true?
No, absolutely. I mean, it's just like feeling contented with your life at whatever stage you are in.
Contention, I am pretty much contented because I get my pension, I've got my own house, and my wife beautifully cooks for me. And, my doctors take care of my health. Even at this age, I'm healthy enough. Is this not reason enough to be content? We are all content at that point of time, I think. But happiness is beyond that content.
Yes, yes.
Am I really happy? I'm happy talking to you people. Yes, that's got nothing to do with expectation or fulfillment on it.
Yeah, no
Right?
taglines attached. Yeah.
So happiness is just a state I think all of us can reach by dhyanam rather than just by jnanam. I attend Ravli Madam's class and Hanuman's teachings in his, all that. But does that give me perfect happiness? Not necessarily. But I'm happy talking to Ravli Madam. Yes, that's a different thing. I'm just quoting Ravli Madam as an example. So please, others do not misunderstand saying that I'm trying to praise her or anything. What all I'm trying to say is that happiness is something, a state of mind that all of us can reach without having to aspire for end result this way or that way.
Yeah.
Which I think we can only, not just by obtaining jnanam, but the way I think about it, we need dhyanam also to it.
Yeah. Because somewhere I feel that we try to get happiness by looking outside rather than looking into ourselves.
Inside, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the substance of it. Because somebody raised the question of happiness, so I thought, let me put my view on it.
Yeah, beautiful, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. I'm sure Vindhya madam will be able to answer some of these.
Yeah, Vindhya ma'am, yeah.
Good. All of us are here. Vindhya, Naina, everybody is here.
Hello, Ravli ma'am. Ramakrishna Garu, you're expecting too much from me. No, I can't answer that. We are all, happiness is not something that you get, right? It is within us. So I am not going to answer that. But Ravli ma'am, thank you. Thank you so much. I look forward for these sessions. And as always, I love your examples too. They're so simple, but yet they bring the point home. For example, like truth. I think today, first time I'm hearing the spiritual truth. I mean, I think I've been hearing universal truth, but spiritual truth. Really, that example of sun, how beautifully, it's so simple, right? Sunset, sunrise, and the universal truth of not being. It just brings home the point that you're saying. So thank you for using great examples. And again, this chariot that you always use, it's so, I mean, it brings such a strong impression on us to understand how the horses can take us everywhere unless the intellect is sharpened, like you explained, and controls it. So it's just that still trying to understand the higher self sitting back there. You're saying it's just observes, but in reality, sometimes I feel, someone sitting in the chariot will keep it depends, we have seen different types. They also give their opinion and other things, but I think this is the ideal situation that you're talking about. One more thing I wanted to say, how you brought home the fact that to let go, attachments and all that. The easiest way is to be in the moment. And I think that was very nice how you brought us to think about that. Just like how Lakshmi ma'am said, connecting to the breath, which is again living in the moment and seeing every day as new, or every person as you're meeting them the first time, dropping all the previous emotions and impressions, whatever we have. It doesn't come just like that, but it comes with practice. So maybe I think your suggestion of being in the moment and just taking everything for the face value is really good. So thank you very much. I love the way you take your understanding and your lesson from it and tell us to do it. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Vinay ma'am.
Namaste, Ravli ji.
Hi, Nanu.
To hear your voice and Parameshwaran's voice is a bliss, actually. But I must agree here. I missed last session of yours in Immortal Talks. I will catch up with it. When I just saw first part of it, first audio video, I try to make notes now so that it stays with me permanently. And anything I need, I can go back and refresh. The biggest, when I closed my eyes and you went on with all the, what is this? You takeaways of this whole book. The biggest thing that has been with me, and if I see myself, is attached detachment. It is so simple to say, but the biggest challenge. This I have been doing since 3 years. And somewhere recently, I started feeling, am I doing it wrong? Am I being so plain? Because I was getting a lot of comments. But today and the other day when I listened to those, I felt I'm on the right path. And, it is too difficult to do it. Sometimes it is a chaos, or, you go through hell. Like, like you're not a person or a human anymore. It feels like that. But I'm so glad I'm, little, at least on correct path. And the best thing for happiness or living a moment is animals. Since Dora has come into my life, I have been learning so amazing, and I'm so thankful, and I'm so thankful I attended Immortal Talks. But no words can justify this. And I agree, as Lakshmi ji said, this book has been very, very, very heavy for me. This one, Thinking and Destiny, Mind to Matter, these 3 books, I feel. And hats off to you, how you have portrayed I don't know if I would understand this concept like this. I must agree here. So hats off to you. And thank you, Ramakrishna sir, for making the concept clear that happiness is state of mind. Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. Indebted to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Naina ma'am. Yeah. So, yeah, masters, any more sharings? Any concepts that you want to share or anything, please. But yeah, Lakshmi ma'am.
Nothing related to the book, but something the word you used as a face validation, Ravi ma'am, off the track. But I still wants to share that because this is what I did yesterday as a face validation for one of my research. What exactly happens there is a researcher in his research, actually what he does is he gets the, maybe yesterday, whatever we did, I would like to share the same thing. She had a set of questions, okay? And those questions, okay, she gets to an expertise of those subject and she sits beside, okay? She will sit through beside because she wants to see face validation. That means I have to read the question, read the options for that, and I should understand the question as she wants to understand. So what is the researcher doing is it the way she wants to portray the question for her research? Is it received as it is without any change in understanding? It's so difficult, right? Because a researcher wants to get a valid output of that input what she's giving. Now, for example, she asks, very simple way, how many teeth are there in your mouth? Okay. If that is a question and she's got options of so many things like 10, 20, 25, 30. And I know that it is 32 and the person is not given an option, others. Okay, then I add to that. So she validates this entire question along with the answer with my facial expression. So my immediate question, if I don't understand, I need to ask her, is this the thing you wanted to ask? Is this the thing you want to add? So she's recorrecting those questions and options and trying to modify those question and answer as per so that it reaches to other person as it is. So what is that face validation, what we have been doing every day in our life? Is this my movement, my work, my being, right from how do I look, how do I eat, how do I sleep, how do I speak? Is this what we are validating whole of our life? That means we are not accepting ourselves as it is when even God doesn't ask me.
Yeah.
Actually, God doesn't ask me. But yeah, this is what we do as a face validation every day, no matter it is your near and dear ones or at your workplace.
Yeah.
I really don't know, but then this, thank you, lovely ma'am. It takes so much of understanding of yourself. That self-acceptance means to a level wherein you drop your identity and just be you.
Yeah.
It's a huge, I don't know, this book has brought a lot of practice-oriented things. No matter you must have heard this concept, but then reinforcing implementation is a real challenge. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, beautifully said, Lakshmi ma'am. Even when you spend your time in the nature also, there is no validation that the nature gives to you. The sun shines bright, whether your day is good or bad, it works. So yeah. Yeah, Blossom ma'am.
So I have one last question.
Yeah.
So my question is on de-attachment, right? We say like we have to de-attach ourselves, right? So See, you have a group of people, you start talking to them, either you have any kind of emotions, love or jealous or pain or whatever it is, whatever kind of emotions you can talk about. So detachment means, see, these emotions are nothing but our mermaids, right? These love or whatever, these are all our mermaids. So when you say detachment, so detachment is to your emotions or detachment to you, to the people whom you're surrounded with,
Mm,
or both.
that's what it said, that there are 9 emotions that are usually we express in, that's what it's been discussed here in this book, which are different emotions. But those are not the same emotions that you identify yourself with respect to the other person. With some person you have anger issues, you feel very angry, or with some person you have extreme joy. With another person you have this so-called what do you say, disgust or some kind of a feeling. So we need to understand that here is that the emotion is coming with from a place where you have not understood the other person completely, and also you're identifying yourself with that emotion somehow. Even though if you see the person after 1 week also, that emotion starts up piling up immediately at the look, or within a couple of minutes that you talk to that other person. But why is it coming? Because somewhere you are stuck with that identity that, you know, this person has done something to you which has not been acceptable to your identity, and that's how it's getting triggered. And you're not living in that moment where you're ready to let go of that emotion and talk to the person afresh. So here we need to understand here is that the emotion is not respective to that other person, but it is respective to you. You are clinging to that. You need to let go of it. You are identifying yourself with that emotion with respect to the other person.
And in other words, no judgment also. In kind of like when we are meeting a person, we are making a kind of judgment, right? With that person, we can be, we can talk in a good way.
Yeah.
Or, yeah. So
All this is happening as it's told in this book, that because you're identifying to your reality with respect to your body and your mind. But when you identify yourself that, okay, this is happening, there are various reasons for that has happened, because you might not have accepted that situation because you felt hurt. So that's why you are identifying with that emotion. So it's with respect to your, not the other person. That's the problem.
so detached from the emotion.
Yeah. Because we express ourselves with emotions. That's a language that we express. We not the words that you speak, but our emotions and feeling are the language of our body and of our mind. So that is the language you are talking with the other person. So it is from you that is coming, not the other person.
Thank you.
Yeah, Blossom. Yeah.
Yeah, Ravali ma'am, thank you very much. And lastly, I would like to ask you one thing, that you have spent so much of a time reading this book and understanding about all the concepts that what has been taught to you. So what is the best thing that you are considering that as a takeaway for you that you are going to practice in your daily life?
When I read this book, there are a lot of new concepts that I've learned, but there are few takeaways I thought I'll start implementing and working. Now I've understood the knowledge. One thing is that we are emotionally connected to different things. So I need to work on my emotional detachment to things. It's not like I'm moving aloof from the person or from the situation, not showing any emotion, but to behave in that situation when and where it is required, and to detach and move on. So that is something which I need to work. And the other thing I understood is that you need to have that, build up that extreme strong connection with your higher self, whoever it is. You know, that connection with your higher self is very important. If we don't have it, we'll be in the state of fear, of losing people, of finding love through other people. So I think the self-love or self-acceptance pop up when I feel that my inner connection is very strong. So I don't need any validation from external reality. That's what I understood. Because I have lived a life where I was trying to get validation from people everywhere. So I have to look in a certain way or behave in a certain way so that I get accepted by people, be it my parents, my friends, or anyway. But I've completely forgot. I have no idea on what my true identity is or how Ravali is actually. So that is something I'm trying to work on. And the other thing is that everything needs a lot of practice. So everyday practice, having disciplined spiritual life is very important. It's something which I understood. And working on my vices and virtues. What are my vices? How do I work around them? How do I build up my virtues? And obviously the emotional detachment thing, which I need to work. And the other thing is that every day before I go to sleep, I need to see that how I have used this whole day with to the fullest, whatever it is. I might not go out and do some service every day, but with respect to myself, how I have worked on building that connection, or with whoever people I've met, how do I react with them? How did I be aware of my emotions? So every day before I sleep, just to have that contented sleep is something which I want to work on. I think these are the some things yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Ravali.
So any more sharings, masters? Go for a 10 minutes meditation. Okay.